Happy Monday, everyone. Hope you all had a great weekend. Welcome to the TDR's Trade to Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Dales. We saw a strong close in cannabis on Friday with none other than AdvisorShares MSOs leading the way, seeing a big uptick in volume in the first week. And Q, obviously, 2024 and what this industry will present itself, and a lot of optimism pertaining to that. But like I said, AdvisorShares MSOs, we all know, is the behemoth within this industry. So we're going to welcome in now, big podcast here today, back to the podcast, Managing Director and Chief Operating Officer of AdvisorShares MSOs, trades on the New York Stock Exchange, ARCA, under the ticker symbol MSOS. Dan Ahrens, back to the podcast. Good day, sir, and good to have you back on.
Give us 1 second, Shad. It looks like we lost him for a second there. They tried to pull him. They tried to pull him from us, but we'll get him back in just a second, guys. Let's take a look at the action today in MSOS and how that worked out. I'll go ahead and I'll bring up the chart here.
Let's do it. Bill O'Reilly time.
Boom.
Okay, we'll do it live. We'll
do it live, man. All right. So today on the daily, what we saw is, yes, it is a red day. Yes, but this is not a bad red day, right? Like I talked about on this trend line. You guys are seeing this trend line. I'm going to actually make this our green line. Forget the white. Let's make it our green line. Why? Because anything above that is going to be looking good for me technically on this. So even a pullback to that level, maybe the 9 EMA, that's that light blue line that you're starting to see here. Maybe that holds for us. As long as we're not coming back down below 7, we're looking good here in MSOS. Now I want to go ahead and take out Friday's high of 812. Today we got to a high of 809. Let's see if we can get there towards 812 and really start to get the motors going. One thing that's for certain is volume is increasing into this move, which is what you want to be seeing as you guys are getting a breakout.
Okay, all right. I prepped for this podcast. Really Reels writes wild close. Leave some comments below. I didn't get a chance to see the close, but let us know what entailed in that. But let's now bring in Mr. Ahrens back to the podcast. And good day, sir. Good. How are things? We lost you there, but now you're back. Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. I didn't believe you when I didn't. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. There's a little bit of delay, I think.
You should be able to hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, I think
I was originally going to use my phone, and now I'm on this computer, and there might be a delay. Sorry.
I think there's like a 3 or 4 second delay. Anyways, you can hear me loud and clear though, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a delay right now.
Yep.
Dan, if you want, do you want to just try to get in again with your phone?
Yeah, maybe log back on with your phone, Dan. We'll do that. We'll continue on. But sorry, everybody, that we're experiencing a little technical difficulties right now. But it's like real news broadcast. Needless to say. Okay, let's bring up some more charts. How did we finish? Let's look at, somebody brought up Tilray. Let's go. How did Tilray close into finish off the day? If you can bring up that chart, Mitch, if you got time. Dealing with this right now. All in all, though, I don't know if anybody got a chance to see some of the podcasts that we did actually last night with Peyton Nyquist about the MAPS announcement, but make sure to go on our YouTube channel and check that out. Going to be a positive, I think, couple of weeks pertaining to that industry. GTI really close to that $12 break. Interesting. Thanks, Really Reels. Always different. Always need filler content. Exactly. We're dealing with this technical issues right now with Dan Ahrens. This is the TDR Trade to Black podcast. We bring up Tilray. What are you seeing, Mitch?
Yeah, it looks like, of course, we talked about this on Friday, that it looks like a kind of a cup and handle. We're trying to get towards that handle, right? And so you guys can see that, right? One of the things you always look for is a little bit of a pullback action. Now we really need this to kind of get back through this and start pushing towards like 290s 3. Once we really recover 3 is like that big breakout area where you really start to come back into this area. So that's what I'll be looking for. Can we pull back, get there towards the 280s, start working our way into that $3 spot?
By the way, we're probably going to have Mr. Irwin Simon. We've reached out to him a couple of times to his team. So for all of you people that are wanting to get Irwin Simon on and hear more about Tilray's story, we will have him on hopefully later this week. We're trying to get him on next week, but by all means, as usual, leave some comments, feedback below. If there's any guests that you want us to obviously have on that we're maybe missing, let us know. We'll reach out to our network and get them on. All right. Is Mr. Ahrens available now? Dan, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We probably still have
All
a
right.
delay.
Let's try this. We'll just go with the delay. So I'm going to go into this real quick. First question off the top. Needless to say, we've seen an uptick in volume in the first week of January. One day last week, generating over 10 million in daily volume. Your average volume for MSO is around 6 million. At the height of September, it was 23 million in one day. So now that we're into this new year and all the positive speculation surrounding it, do you think in a lot of ways that we've kind of turned a page on investor sentiment going into a new year? No, he's on mute right now. Can't hear him. Shoot, this is too bad. We had a big guest here today, and this is can't hear you, Dan.
All right.
Dan, you can hear me.
Dan, can you do me a favor just to make sure maybe we can get a little bit of a less delay? If you can do me a favor, just stop your camera. And then maybe we can at least just get clear audio from you.
How's now? Can you hear?
All right.
Yeah.
If you can hear me, okay.
Breaking up a little bit.
Headaches, guys. Yeah, I've done StreamYard a lot on my phone. Well, here. Okay, so last week, we got all the tax loss selling end of year out of the way, and then we got that announcement from the DEA, acknowledging that they were working on it, which you and I know is no news. That's nothing. We know that's no news.
We talked about
that.
Hit
the headlines and it hit the mainstream press a little bit. And, there's people on the sidelines. We actually have conversations with a lot of people that are on the sidelines, waiting until it's real. They want to wait till it's real. So for a percentage of people, that was real. Now that got followed up and it kind of piggybacked on each other. We had a letter on Friday from a House of Representatives also urging for the rescheduling and mentioning Schedule 3 by name again.
Yep.
And you can also just look at social media. There was a lot of some big people that hadn't been mentioning it before, saying they are now recommending and seeing the light of U.S. cannabis, mentioning the fund MSOS and MSOX by name. But let's go back to volume and what I saw. I liked that things went up nicely for a few days in a row, but it's what I would call orderly. It was nice and smooth. Now there was one when the announcement first came out on Wednesday, I guess it was, there was a NYSE circuit breaker, causing a halt. And I saw the social media. People are freaking out. Oh my God, you need to fix this. I need to.
Did you
what
fix
am I
it?
supposed to do? I'm going to call up the NYSE and have them rewrite all their damn circuit breaker rules. So no, come on, guys. A brief halt is no big deal. We know that in the big picture. But I thought last week's movement in prices and in volume was nice and smooth and orderly. Everything was handled nicely, and I like it. But let's go back to the fact there wasn't any real news.
Yeah,
that just shows the power of how many people are on the sidelines.
Yep.
We know there's a lot of people that are fully invested already. They're pretty fully diamond hands invested, and they've been invested for a while.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of people on the sidelines. Yeah, that was just a brief little taste what we got last week.
Yeah, I know. Like, no one knows what's going on in the DEA, and they're going to keep that obviously tight-lipped for the foreseeable future. But, this trend is going to continue if we head into, late Q1, Q2. A lot of speculation circulating that could there be an announcement around that time. But this is a sign of things to come, to your point, that once we get another sort of like rumor story like it was last week, and then once this actually, let's say in some sort of chance that rescheduling is announced, you know, I know September was a great rally for the industry, but like, what are you anticipating if and when this does become a reality?
I'm expecting the funds to get a lot of inflows, and I'm expecting some real aggressive upward movements because, there's also been a lot more interest. And I'll give you a little tease. I'm going to be on Fox Business News tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to be on Yahoo Finance tomorrow morning, and Yahoo Finance is strictly talking about cannabis. And there's been a bunch of mainstream media picking up stories. So a lot of uptick in interest is why I'm mentioning that. So it's going to be an aggressive move, but I'm going to remind people I'm like the boy that cried wolf. I've been saying this for the last 3 years.
I know.
But you know what? As far as it's drifted down the last 3 years, just makes all that much upward potential.
Yep.
If you simply look at what multiples are, and then you look at what total revenues are, yet the fact that we've had this 3-year downdraft, that just reminds me and should remind everybody else of what the upward potential is just to get back to some of those old prices. I can't imagine if we get back to the price we were at 3 years ago. Good God, that's a hell of a lot of money.
Look, these stocks have been hit hard, but it feels like the dog days of cannabis investing, we could be around the corner, but there's been some long, couple of years here. But I've spoken to a few people in Vegas at MJ Biz last month. It's difficult right now getting some new money in because they do want to see rescheduling when your stock's trading at $1.15 and now it's $1. So how do you convince? They obviously want to see something that's concrete. And a lot of these headlines, another example as to how this industry performs when you do see some sort of headline and how this thing pops so quick. But one of the things I wanted to bring up is when we look back at the HHS recommendation announcement in late August, early September, we saw a trend where tier 2 and tier 3 operators were highly leveraged. They actually outperformed tier 1 companies, in some cases, a 2-to-1 factor, even a 3-to-1 factor. If we get some sort of announcement, do you see that same trend happening in the near term, the short term versus long term?
Yeah, I like it as long as you're saying short term, because it's a little bit of one of those things of the last shall be first. And some of the stocks have been, beat up the most, and they have the most bounceability. Is that a word? I'll make that up.
Yeah.
Hey, if you look at the holdings of MSOS, Green Thumb is right there at the top for a reason. And we own an absolute ton of it compared to the way most funds are allocated. Really heavy. But for a cannabis stock, it's one of the most blue chippy that we can get.
I agree.
So do I think it has huge upward potential? Of course I do. Do I think some of those stocks that are tier 2 and tier 3 and have been beat up more and had a lot less inflows and a lot less capital already invested in them? Yeah, short term, they have a lot more ability to bounce. So
history will repeat itself then, you're thinking?
No reason to think it's not. Again, because these stocks they got so far to go. All you got to do is, chart them back 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years. Yeah. And it's a quick reality check and reminder of the upside they have as well.
Yeah. We've talked a lot of institutions. I think that wasn't just strictly retail last week. I think there was a few institutions that dabbled in. Do you agree with that?
Dabbling, but not a whole lot to speak of because, the volume's not there. It's still,
I hear you.
It ain't bad. It's kind of nice compared to the real slow days, but no, it's still in the grand scheme, not huge volume. And as another reminder, all we have to do is compare the volumes we see in these U.S. operators and even in MSOS itself to Tilray, or you want to talk about a company that's a real joke to me is Aurora. When you go back to the fact that there's so many people on the sidelines, there's so many people that don't live in the bubble that we live in. I'm talking about the educated bubble of U.S. cannabis.
Yeah.
They still bring up names. I'm thinking about investing in cannabis.
Yeah, I hear you. We lose you there, Dan. You still there? Yeah, he brings up a good point about Aurora Cannabis. I was talking to Tim Seymour actually in Chicago back in the fall, and he was saying like a lot of the times he's on CNBC, it's like some of the people reference Aurora Cannabis. And let's face it, people that are following this space closely, you've lost basically all credibility and interest from an investor base that's been following this closely for the last 5 years, because anyone that does follow this space, who brings up Aurora Cannabis as much anymore. But, a lot of good companies. Greg Vincent, I did get your question. When we get Dan back on, we will ask him if there are any companies not included in the ETF that they're considering. So we'll jump into that as well. Mohammed Shaheen, good to see you. What does he think of MSOX? Good risk with good news. When we get him back up, I'll bring him back up and ask that question again. Oh, there you are, Dan. Did you hear me? So Greg Vincent writes, with a lot of uplistings lately, are you considering adding some new names to MSOs? Go ahead.
Always. We're always looking at the whole universe. But, please don't.
Yeah, I think we lost him again. Mitch, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm about to get Dan. We're gonna get him some nice little internet. We gotta get him a nice little Tesla internet here. Get him a Starlink.
Jason Schilling writes, why no position in Air Wellness? I will get on that as well as soon as we can bring him back
Great question, Jason.
But yes, a couple other questions. I know some of you people were asking about Forefront Ventures being part of the ETF. I know there's been some concerns that investors have related to their debt conversion, recent news. So we'll get on that as far as some insights and perspectives on.
Hey, do you guys got me?
Yeah, I hear you. You back, Dan?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to what I said. We'll get into Forward Ventures in a bit, but you're looking at other companies right now to potentially add to the ETF?
Always.
Yeah.
Some people took notice that I bought some Swazi just a month or so ago. But I want to remind people, when you look at a company, look at its float, look at its size.
Yeah.
And is that even possible for me to own a material amount in the fund? That's one thing.
Sorry, everybody, for how this is all unfolding here today. This is tough. Dan, can you hear me again?
I think we're getting him in and out. Yep. You should be here back with us in a second.
Yeah. So, we're doing institutional trades, with swap counterparties. I'm not trading on a Robinhood or a Fidelity platform for zero commission. No, I'm not going to buy an 8 cent or 9 cent or 5 cent stock. Are there a couple in the fund? Yeah, but I don't have a time machine, and I can't go back 2 years to when I bought those. Pay attention to what I'm adding to the fund. There is a little bit of stuff at the very bottom that maybe I wish I didn't own, but it ain't worth my time or commissions and spreads to try to sell them.
Yeah.
But we're always looking at the whole universe. We are always looking at the whole universe, and we're aware of the whole universe. But, there's a lot of different things to look at for considering adding to the portfolio.
Yeah, one of the companies that we talked about, tier 2, tier 3, arguably could be a tier 1, but it ripped back in September, is Air Wellness. Jason Schilling writes, why no position and Air Wellness. Do you want to elaborate on that, or is it, I guess, kind of tough to
Air Wellness? We have a huge amount of Air Wellness. We probably
you
own
know
larger.
What? I got the wrong ticker symbol. AWH is what ticker symbol is that, guys? If you can help me out. AAWH. Oh, Ascend. Sorry, my apologies. You there, Dan? Oh man, lost him again.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, it wasn't Air Wellness. It was Ascend Wellness. Apologies.
Ascend. Yeah, I should be getting. You should be thanking me for not owning it. That's the only thing that you're doing.
Why is that?
It would have detracted from the fund's performance. I mean,
yeah.
Do some math. The fund performed better than that stock.
Yeah. Well, one other thing is the reverse stock split. Canopy Growth. Somebody asked, would you ever consider them?
Wait, who's that?
Canopy Growth.
Canada? Hell no.
We
own it in our YOLO fund.
Yeah.
Everybody should look at YOLO as well.
Yeah. Let's look at that, because I know
there's we have MSOS is. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we're looking at an imminent vote for adult use in Germany, and when we look at your other ETF, YOLO, that you just mentioned, like, have you had much feedback or dialogue as to like how that's going to all unfold? Like, are you hearing that it's going to potentially go through?
We hear that it's probably going to go through, and someone that you should listen to and so on that is Boris Jordan of Curaleaf, because they have some great exposure in the German market. That's going to be, I think, a real boost for them. We've looked for other German exposure, and you have to look at what's investable once again.
Yeah.
And at this point, not much that is truly investable at an institutional level. Will that change? Probably so. But and we really like it for Curaleaf.
Sorry again, everybody, for the way this is all kind of being butchered here today with the technical problems. But what we'll probably end up doing is following up with Dan tomorrow for a pre-recorded, and we'll get this pushed out. But we may have to cut this podcast short here today, this live stream, just the way this is being cut out in and out. But you know what? By all means, leave some comments below. I'll probably reach out to Dan after this. And what we'll probably end up doing, like I said, is set up a pre-recorded, and we'll get this out midday tomorrow. So if anything, leave some comments below and let us know some of the questions that you want us to reach out to Dan, and we can follow up with that and make sure you get all your questions answered. But Dan, can you still hear me, or are you still dealing with issues?
I'm hearing you now.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of delay. Listen, we're going to log off here. Dan, I'll follow up with you after the podcast, but we'll set something up either later today or tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and we'll get a pre-recorded podcast out, and then we'll get this up on our network for our audience to ask some questions, and we'll make sure to get all those questions answered. Sound good?
Yeah, right. Apologies. Sorry I wasn't set up for this particular camera and setup. Sorry.
All good, brother. Listen, keep in touch. Sorry to cut this short, everybody, here today, but like I said, we'll get this up in the video up tomorrow, probably around midday, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, have yourself a great evening. Enjoy the National College Football Championship game tonight. Big night. Mitch, I know you got to run, but I appreciate it. We'll check back in with you later this week.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and if you want to learn more about the emerging industries that we cover, then leave a comment below and let us know who you want us to interview, the questions you want asked, and the information that you want to learn. We want to hear from you. As usual, click on that bell for all notifications to get the latest information, share this video with your network, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because we would not be here without you.